in Africa. Curating high-end industry engagements, we aim to become the leading networking platform for stakeholders in Africa's hospitality industry. Through rigorous industry research, we provide a foundation of empirical evidence and insights to guide decision makers in the private and public sectors. Our high-level executive programs and internships address the gaps needed to build, grow, and sustain profitable businesses. Together, we can address the lack of synergy, realign goals, support data-driven policies, and raise the bar for executive decision-making. Join us in rewriting the story of leadership in the hospitality industry. Together, let's make a difference.
Running a restaurant in Africa, you don't need stress, you need power. You need speed, you need bounty. One platform, one wallet, one operating system that handles everything. Menus, done. Inventory, synced. Orders, instant. Payments, faster than your favorite POS. Loans, approved based on your business reality, not paperwork. Want to go online? Your AI storefront. It builds itself in minutes. Menu, styled. Photos, generated. Orders, flying. Are you worried about weight? Bounty tells you before it happens. Do you need more sales? It suggests what to promote. Do you need capital? Bounty Pay funds you with daily repayment from your real sales. POS, QR, virtual account, wallet, lending, AI. Everything connected, everything seamless, everything bounty. This is not a tool. This is your superpower. Run smarter, grow faster, scale bigger. Bounty, your restaurant growth engine.
In the heart of Africa, where diversity thrives and cultures intertwine, lies a dynamic industry ready for transformation. However, our research has revealed critical competency gaps to grow and sustain a viable and competitive hospitality industry. A gap in advisory services that provide strategic solutions to business problems in the hospitality space, and scarce executive-level leadership competencies to drive and grow the hospitality industry. Introducing the Lagos Business School Hospitality Initiative. The LBS Hospitality Initiative is a platform for change, growth, and innovation. Through our 4 main pillars, we are reshaping the landscape of the hospitality industry in Nigeria and Africa. We provide expertise, guidance, and strategic insights tailored to the unique challenges of the hospitality industry in Africa. Curating high-end industry engagements, we aim to become the leading networking platform for stakeholders in Africa's hospitality industry. Through rigorous industry research, we provide a foundation of empirical evidence and insights to guide decision makers in the private and public sectors. Our high-level executive programs and internships address the gaps needed to build, grow, and sustain profitable businesses. Together, we can address the lack of synergy, realign goals, support data-driven policies, and raise the bar for executive decision-making. Join us in rewriting the story of leadership in the hospitality industry. Together, let's make a difference.
My name is Dr. Belinda Wonsu, Academic Director at the Lagos Business School Hospitality Initiative. And today we are hosting this amazing session about digitalization and the food sector. How do the two connect? In the house today, we have 3 very important people who will be speaking to this topic. And we would love you to engage. Just have your questions written down as we prepare to launch in. What is this webinar about? We know operators face a lot of challenges when it comes to functioning, being reliable, and also being able to deliver to their customers. We have multiple issues around pilfering. I'm sure a lot of you can speak to that. We have issues around being competitive, the supply chain. There's a lot on your plate. At the end of the day, the customer is concerned about what comes to the plate, right? But how do we coordinate all of this in our minds, in our heads? That's very difficult. I think we all understand and appreciate that the world today has gone digital. And perhaps many of us in the food business sector are left behind. We are still analog in a certain way. So in this discussion, we're going to look at how we can combine operational discipline, data insights, and a holistic systems approach, which is needed along these lines. So joining us from the UK, we have the CEO and founder of Bountip Technologies, Titilayo Nwabo. Titilayo is the co-founder and managing director of Bountip Technologies, a fast-growing SaaS company which has been transforming restaurant operations through AI-powered inventory management, predictive analytics, and operational intelligence. She has over 20 years' experience spanning private banking, retail banking, and technology-driven ventures. Titi has built a career around the intersection of finance, strategy, and innovation. She has led high-performing teams, managed complex financial portfolios, and developed scalable systems across both corporate and startup environments. So as co-founder of Bountip, she plays a pivotal role in shaping the company's vision, driving growth strategy, and leading operations across Nigeria and the UK. Bountip was built to solve one of the most overlooked problems of the food industry, inefficiencies, especially in back-of-house operations, and helping restaurants optimize inventory, reduce waste, and improve profitability through data-driven decision-making. Welcome to the session, Titilayo.
And it's nice to be here.
Great, excellent.
Thank you, everyone.
Also on my panel here, I would like to introduce Harsh Dayalani, who is the owner of Chapter Restaurants in Lagos. He was born and raised in a family of great home cooks in Lagos, the cosmopolitan capital of Nigeria. Harsh has developed a deep passion for food from an early age, and his culinary curiosity led him to pursue formal training at the CIA, Culinary Institute of America, in Hyde Park, New York. There he earned an associate's degree in culinary arts, management, and studied cuisines from around the world. He has also specialized in food, advanced wine, beverages, and hospitality management, and holds a master's degree in hospitality and tourism. He began his career at the Hyatt as a sous chef, managing large-scale events, private dining experiences, before moving on to consulting for restaurants in New York. Harsh has an entrepreneurial footprint, and he opened a successful Asian bistro in Philadelphia. He also served as a product development lead and sommelier at a boutique New York chocolate brand, Truffles. Yes, but when he returned to Lagos, he brought his global experience and created Chapter, which is a high-end fusion restaurant in Victoria Island. In addition to his culinary ventures, Harsh serves as a director at Simdri Nigeria Limited, a hospitality and industrial catering company for over the past 2 decades. So Harsh, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Last but not least, we have Michael Agbogo. Michael Agbogo is the founder and CEO of ChitHub Company Limited, based in the UK and in Nigeria. He's a visionary technology entrepreneur and AI leader with over 25 years of experience at the intersection of tech, AI, smart city infrastructure, and digital transformation. As the founder and chief AI officer of ChitHub, it's a pioneering intelligence, security, and smart city technology company. He has established himself as one of Africa's foremost innovators in applying AI, computer vision, IoT, and cloud computing to real-world societal challenges. Rated in the top 2% of Nigerian executives by company size and international business network strength, Michael brings a rare combination of deep technical expertise and bold entrepreneurial leadership. Under his stewardship, ChitHub has deployed advanced solutions in intelligent security, electronic tolling, traffic enforcement, and smart city systems. He has empowered enforcement agencies with cutting-edge detection and data platforms across Africa and beyond. Michael is here to lend his voice to the AI conversation. So welcome to all my panelists.
Thank you again.
Let's do the deep dive. So we'll have a discussion around the food business and tech. I would like to throw this question to Titi very quickly around the food service industry. Titi is undergoing significant operational shifts, with technology becoming an increasingly important part of that conversation. From your perspective and your experience, where does digitalization create the most value for a food business?
Digitalization, the way it is, it's to expose to make it more visible for people to know what is actually happening in their business. So it creates visibility in your business, because without your business being digitalized, if the data are not available, you will be making wrong decisions. You will not actually know what is happening in the industry. You will not know what is happening at the back end of your business. If you're losing money or if your inventories are expiring, a lot of mistakes will be happening. So
Okay, thank you very much. So if I hear you, Titi, you are actually pointing out the fact that people need something to help them understand the challenges within their space, and that's something you've spoken to. I'll move my question over to Harsh in this. Your experience as an operator, where are the digital gaps that you experienced that led to your onboarding technology?
See, coming from the industry, what the gaps were back, things were never, there was no discipline in terms, everything was either written down on or memories or, put on different kinds of notes that could be misplaced. But when digitalization was onboarded, a lot of things were consistent. Communication was easier. Discipline came in, you could track records, sales, and have an idea of exactly what is going on. That really created a great form of communication, a discipline, and created a lot of issues that were there was able to be taken off.
So operational discipline, I hear you. Before you transited to a digital platform,
right?
What did you have back end? Did you have your recipes? What is it that you needed in terms of data to be able to transform?
I needed recipes, costings, data in terms of procurements that are coming in, how much portions are coming in, suppliers, pricing, labor, in fact, an aspect of that also. All that data were all written down. Nothing was ever inputted. So these are the advantages of digitalization coming in that really helped to move that gap.
So I hear that to be digitalized, you need to have your back end in order.
Correct.
Okay. I'll go over to Michael now. Michael, this concept of operational discipline from an AI tech perspective, how important is it?
I think it's a critical foundation that, if lacking, anything that you build on top really cannot hold, water in there. Just listening to what Harsh has mentioned, you can hear many moving parts: inventory, suppliers, recipe, and all this. How do you keep all that in your head? So I usually liken this to thinking about it from, let's say, a bank, or even something as small as a microfinance bank. Can a microfinance bank or a bank operate without a banking, software? Not in the 20th or 21st century, probably in 1976, yes. But it's the same. It's a business. A bank is a business. A restaurant is a business. There are so many moving parts that you need to put together. And as Titi has mentioned, visibility to these moving parts is absolutely critical. But you cannot have that visibility if the foundation is not right. Operational discipline forms part of that foundation. And that's really out of the spectrum of tech. So that creates the foundation for tech. So tech only builds on that.
So a partnership, Titi, I think this is what we're talking about. The partnership, the integration comes with partnership when you look at the fact that we or people in the business sector, in the food business sector, need to get their act together. From your experience, what are the core modules that you need to fix in order to engage people in the tech sector?
Thank you. So the core models, I believe people, the operators need to fix for them to engage with the software. One is their inventory, because this is one of the things, the inventories are very important. Somehow these leakages happen and you do not know that is happening. And at the end of the day, it affects you, you know. Then I also think they should be able to calculate their food costs, because that is what most of the restaurant owners don't have as of today. You keep selling, you do not know the food cost. You do not know the margin. You do not know how much the products you bought today, if inflation has already taken over the products you bought today. So you need to calculate all those. Then also, the other thing that also needs to be fixed is they also need to fix the way they work, because people they prefer to use manual process. The chef is the one that knows the recipe. There's no standardization. The inventory person, the manager is the one that understands the inventory, while the cashier is the one that understands the numbers. All these processes need to be fixed, because at the end of the day, you will just see that you are making the money, the revenue is coming in, but the profitability is actually depleting. Thank you.
Thanks. Going back to you, Titi, let's do a deep dive here. When we talk about the food flow starts way back with the receiving, the purchasing, the receiving, the production, the holding, and then finally the service. At what point on this food flow do you think we need to work with technology a bit more? Is it more at the receiving end, or is it in the actual production? Where in the food flow do you think interventions are needed?
Then question for, I lost a bit.
I'll go back to the question.
Hello?
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, let me take this to Harsh, all right? When we talk about the food flow, we start predicting all the way from purchasing down to receiving, production, service. At what point do you think technology is more important? We want operators out there who are joining us to understand where they can plug in. Where are the critical areas?
Thanks for the question. You'd be surprised that it actually starts from the procurement to the sales. It's needed on every aspect of it. When the supplier comes in, you're putting in the numbers, you're putting in the pricing, you're putting in the weight to consumption. When your inventory or your store is providing the ingredients, that amount, consumption by the chef, portion controls there as well, then the sales taken into consideration, and stock. So it's taken into consideration from the beginning to the end, to every aspect into it. That's where it is.
And what does the technology do for you? Tracks it? Will I be able to have inputs?
Yeah, of course, tracks it by the end of it. Because a lot of people, like as TJ mentioned, a lot of people end up looking at the revenues. They don't end up looking at the profitability or the the consumption or the stock that's in. That actually plays a higher value based on just the revenue. Revenues are just the final numbers, but what it's taking to get there is what is the final output.
So the food business sector, the operation in itself, there's too much focus on revenues,
Correct.
too little focus on cost control and the rest.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So tech will help you to track what's going on at the given moment. I remember in a conversation we were having earlier about how it is possible to see at a glance what the impact of inflation will be on your menu price instead of going through tons and tons of papers. Talk to us about that.
Because with the current situation, with prices fluctuating on a daily basis, if things are not analyzed or you're not disciplined enough from previously, you won't be able to track your records. And with price fluctuating happening regularly on daily basis, it's very hard to negotiate with suppliers. Then. So you need to have a final track record to have an understanding before you can place a price on a product, so a customer can pay for it. So those are things that need to be taken into consideration before any final. See, we can just price a product on the menu for X amount, and we're happy with it because we're going to make a margin of it. But does that really cover all your costs? That's what the big question is.
Interesting. So we're capturing everything at the same time, and we have visibility of what the changes in the market are having on our menu prices. Great. So now, if I had to think about the process of beginning to digitalize, Michael, what's the infrastructure need on my part? Think of me as an independent operator. I don't belong to a big brand. I want to key into this technology. Where do I start?
So it depends. Are you asking from a Bounty SaaS perspective, or generally innovation in your business? Because we normally confuse innovation to mean technology. Innovation is not technology. Technology is an innovation. There was a book I was reading some time back, and then there was a mention there that one of the biggest innovations that we've had in our lifetime is the invention of a textbook. Seems very simplistic.
Yes.
But that allowed us to be able to spread knowledge, document knowledge, share knowledge over centuries. Before a textbook, there was no such things. We were like a fish. Since the beginning of time till now, if you put a worm on a hook and you throw it into a river, you will catch a fish. None of their ancestors has ever bothered to tell them when you see a worm hanging, that might be danger. So that's innovation in itself. And that's the way we should think about it. So depending on the scale of your business, depending on the complexity of the business, as Harsh mentioned, it's a chain. His business is very complex, from procurement, purchasing, whatever. Somebody might have just a small food kiosk that he prepares the food himself. That's not a complex business, but the fundamentals are the same. So in such instances, it's now, first of all, I think the biggest real gap is in the education of the business owner on what's critical to making a business successful in here. We mentioned food cost, right? That's, an input in there. Revenue is important, obviously. And, your fixed cost. Do they know what the fixed cost is? Do they know all that? So I think that's first foundational and fundamental, that will allow them to know what they are looking at when the technology is telling them this. Your food cost has gone up by 5% due to inflation. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
In there. Or your revenue is up, but your cost of sales is higher than the revenue. Do you know what that is? So if innovation doesn't happen first from that dimension, in being able to allow the business owners to know those fundamentals, then technology will not have its place. So to answer your question in simple terms, I think that's the first foundational thing. Then we can layer on probably basic infrastructure in the connectivity, devices. Then the software layer comes on top. Then the intelligence layer, and that's where we get the biggest bang for the buck.
So we need to know where we're at in this business. My experience over the last 20 years in the sector has indicated we have a big gap in knowing. A lot of people have homegrown skills. I love cooking, and therefore I open up a business, right, or a restaurant. But there's a lot that goes with that. And I think we're reaching a point in the competitive landscape where you need to know what you're doing, or you won't be able to scale or to be sustainable. So speaking along those lines, I'll come back to you, Michael, along those lines of what kind of infrastructure should we be thinking about? We're very, very far from intelligence at this portion of the conversation. I'd like to bring it back to Titi, the pushback from owners. If we need to be educating owners, there's a bit of pushback, all right? This thing is going to be expensive. I only know how to cook. What else do I need to know about a business, I think that education in that space, what kind of pushback have you experienced in your time working with owners?
There have been a lot of pushback from owners. One of the pushback that we've experienced is resistance to change. People are so much used to their old ways of doing things, the manual processes of doing things. So them changing becomes very, very difficult. Then another pushback that we also get is complexity. People will tell most owners or their workers will say to you, "Are you sure I can use a computer? Where do I start from?" I think the fear is something that also acts as a resistance. Then the structure, the operational structure, the operators are actually using, the way their operations are. This person does this, the other person knows that, the other person is an expert in the other thing. It's not standardized. There's no structure in place. So they're already used to that, their whole way of doing things. So they find it difficult to change. And I know most people also find that difficult to change, Then another thing we've also noticed in speaking with and working with restaurant owners is also the use of disconnected tools. Different tools are being used, and those tools do not come together to give them those informed decisions they need to make. Thank you.
What are disconnected tools? Can you drill down for us? Give us examples.
Okay, so you have tools, you have like the front end tools, which is just for POS, making payments. Then you have the back end tools where you have, I'm not going to mention names, for accounting purposes. Then you have another tool that would help you with your staffing and HR. You have another tool for procurement. So everything is disjointed. You don't have those information in one view.
The integrated system would have everything connected. Input at one end has an impact on the output at another end. Titi, is that what you're saying?
Hi.
The integration.
Yes, the integration.
Okay. Change management. What do you think is feeding the fear? Do you think, Titi, it's coming from a financial perspective? Oh no, this is going to be very expensive. I can't afford this. Where do you think that fear is coming from?
Financial perspective is part of it. It's one of it's actually part of it, because when you tell them the price, sometimes when you tell the operators the price, sometimes they get scared. But forgetting that the money they lose from the back end caused by inefficiency is more than what you'll be paying to have a good software that will help you save more.
But they need to see that in order to believe it, isn't it?
Yes, they would. So for you to see that, you would need to use a tool that works for you.
I remember once in class, back in the day when I was in vocational education and training, we had a very simplistic simulation of over portioning by 50 grams a piece of chicken. You over portion for 50 grams over a year. And that simulation came to about 3 million naira at the end of the year. If you don't see it, you don't believe it, right? And I think that's one of the ways that we can help operators understand that your blind thinking that you are spending a lot on systems is actually helping you cut down on your losses. Thanks for that. I'll come to you, Harsh, now. Around the conversation of cost-benefit analysis, you're an operator.
Right.
I'm afraid that if I take on this digital system, I will actually be coughing up a lot, tying in a lot of capital. But I hear it works out in the end. Could you give us a case of how this has worked with you?
See, there was, if I take into consideration, there was once a time that our procurement was fine, but our consumption was higher than the sales. That actually created a red flag before we had anything into the system's place.
Your consumption was higher than the sales.
Than the sales, yeah.
Wow.
In terms of cost-wise aspect. And that kind of created especially being in the high volume production, that does create kind of a red flag. But when we had everything digitalized and everything on the systems, we actually could find where the leakage of the pilferage was, and that was able to, fix those aspects rather than having them just showing a bigger revenue or just a revenue going on, whereas cost of things are just going higher and higher. So those were the things in terms of that. In terms of the capital investment, a lot of people think that, do you need to invest again into another system, right? But that's the whole point. It basically integrates the entire, all the aspects of the operations into one
system,
which literally gives you the idea of everything. So from the back of the house to the front of the house, from the accounting aspect, from the store procurement aspect to the suppliers to the labor, everything's all integrated to the one point. So the digitalization basically is taking the chaos away from the business, right? It's bringing everything together. And as mentioned before, if a chef leaves or a manager leaves, all data is already recorded. So anyone who comes in or joins in has an idea of where they left off from, which is very important.
Yeah. Sustainability.
Exactly.
So, and also a bit of succession planning, I think, is locked into a system. So if somebody walks out on me, they don't walk out with the core of my business, right? It's already locked into a system, all right? That works a lot. So, Michael, we talked about getting operational discipline in place, but you mentioned something about intelligence. I'm thinking along the lines of strategic thinking. We're so stuck in the pots and getting food out that we forget the big picture. How does technology support us in thinking more strategically, especially if we want to be competitive?
I think I was having a conversation yesterday about, as a leader now, what's your scarcest resource? And the answer always jumps out to be attention. What are you attending to? Because you only have a fixed amount of attention. So as Harsh mentioned, if there's a lot of noise everywhere, your attention will be everywhere. Will you be focused on the key, matrix of the business? We always say that the businesses have different flavors, from hospitality to operating a refinery, blah, blah, blah. They have different flavors, but at its core, they are all the same. You have a product or a service that is sold for revenue. You have a cost that is used to provide that service. And then you probably invested in some infrastructure that you need to either amortize or recover. So those basic elements, are the same. How can we get you to focus on the basic elements without the noise? And I'll give an example. I was at a restaurant yesterday when I flew in, and then I placed an order. After I placed the order, they went in, they came back and told me my order cannot be fulfilled.
It's not available.
Because they don't have the ingredients, right? So there'll be two sides to this. Okay, I placed the second order based on the ingredients that they were supposed to have. And then they brought me something else from it, right? At the end, two things has happened there. But does the business have any knowledge, one, of these two events that have happened? One, there was something out of stock. There was no accountability and escalation of that accountability. So if the inventory manager did not make, effort to eliminate that, situation, and it wasn't escalated fully upwards, then that's an issue with the business. Meaning the business needs a way to know when things go wrong, and they need to be able to know on time. Secondly, there was a lost profit opportunity, because definitely this would have improved the revenue of the business. Will the business owner ever get this information of what has happened? The answer is no. So how can you make the business better? And that's why what Titi was mentioning, these tools are absolutely critical, especially within the hospitality space. The rate of closures of restaurants, it's astronomically high. If you go to any industry, it's probably one of the highest in the industry. Yeah. People come in with a lot of enthusiasm, based on talent and feelings.
The reality.
But the reality.
And then,
the question is, you don't even know why you failed. I was telling Precious earlier that it's one thing for us to tell you how you succeed, but it's another thing for us to tell you what will make you fail. And when you fail, you are not surprised that you have failed. So yes, that's what's really
I think
needed.
that's where digitalization, it's a mirror. It tells you
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
Right? You look into it and you actually know the figures, you know the reality. That's what it is all about.
It's data-driven decision
Exactly.
making
Right.
and visibility.
Right.
All right, so it's a tool.
It's a tool. Yeah.
But we need to emphasize that that tool can only work on structure, right? The structure of getting it right. So we need to see how to go about that. I want to ask if this is something that we can also, Titi, going back to you, in terms of the quality of the decision making, right? So we're not, as operators, those of you listening in, you're not at the level of very rudimentary decisions. As an operator, you need to be able to think strategically and intelligently. You need the data for that to happen. What about the ability to engineer menus, for example? Is this facility possible? Is it possible for us not to go through that route of trial and error without actually wasting resources? Is there a way of capturing the entire business and making those decisions based on the data that has been fed into it?
Yes, it is. So that's
Great.
the essence of you having a reliable software that gives you those data. So let's talk about the menu engineering. You go to the markets, you get your inventory. It comes in as a particular price today. Maybe the next week it comes in at another price. The system takes the average price for the menu. Then you break down those menus. If you're making, let's take jollof rice, for example, you're making jollof rice. What does it take for me to make this jollof rice? I need so cups of rice. I need these ingredients. I need that ingredients. I need tomatoes. I need this. The system breaks it down and gives you the amount it takes for you to create a portion of a particular meal. So with that, you can always make an informed decision that, okay, once you get the portion of this particular meal, then because you as a owner would have to, you just have to put in that time. That's the truth. Nobody does it for you. You need to just put in that time, sit down and understand your business. How much profit do I need to make, or how much profit do I need to make to be successful, to keep this business going? How much do I need to put on this? How much margin do I need to make to produce this particular jollof rice? So you put in your margin into it. And by the time you start selling and you go back again and buy more inventory also, input it into the system recalculates the inventory, the cost of making that, the cost of production. It recalculates it. And at that point, it flags it out that this amount is now, maybe you're making less amount on this. You are no longer making this particular amount, on this particular menu. So the system, you just need to put in the right data to get the right results, really.
What you're describing, Titi, thank you, is like scenario planning. You can do that scenario planning without actually having to go through that analog process. This seems to be very important. Now, look at the context that we are working in. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Think about the context we are currently in, the fluctuation of pricing in the markets, etc. What's the danger there for operators who face these real-time challenges of not finding product or produce, and then having it sitting comfortably on a digital system somewhere telling them that this is what it could be? This is real. Our challenges are real. What would you say to that?
Yes, I agree with you that I agree with you that the challenges are real. So it has to, the business operator needs to pay more attention to their data. They need to know what drives their business. They need to understand the leakages that are happening behind the scene, because that is really what is affecting most of the operators. Inventory leakages, cost of price, margin shrinking, inflation, pilfering, all this affects them. So I think they really need to sit down and understand their business. But the only way you can understand this business is having the right data. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so, Harsh, as an operator, we've heard so much about upskilling ourselves. Operators need to upskill themselves. Where do they go? What do they do? Where do they even start? If you had to give an action plan for operators to upskill themselves in understanding the food business, give us an idea.
Start small. Be consistent, self-disciplined, proper leadership, team handling, team training, management, data analysis, and track your sales. These were some things that will be taken into consideration ever. If I'm answering the question right,
Yes,
in terms of starting an operation, these are some key factors, because a lot of people, what they do is, as we mentioned earlier, very enthusiastic. Let's open a restaurant. I know how to cook. I want to do great. As soon as they start, or Michael mentioned, 70% or 80% fail at the beginning, because
In less than 2 years.
Exactly.
In less than 2 years, yeah.
And this is a very cash invested business. Cash flow has to always be there. So these discipline integration from day one is what leads to success. And these are the things, of some key factors that I mentioned, that are very important for them.
And in your background, you have gone through the process, so you probably understand the ins and outs of
Correct.
food and beverage management. Where would somebody who has just had a passion for it, you come up, you start the business, where or how do you advise the person to learn the process? Because at the end of the day, I can't pluck it from the sky. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of people in this sector don't have that formal training.
Right. Passion is great. It's great. It's fantastic. We all should have one. But numbers and analysis is what gives you the real answers. Without that, you don't get results. It's very straightforward.
It's not just about talent.
It's not only about talent, of course. Creativity and innovation is, of course, very much there. But I believe in something. If there is innovation without discipline, it's chaos. And if there's only discipline and no innovation, it's robotic. So it's very important to make sure from day one. Of course, creativity and innovation and the passion is always there. But consistency, discipline, communication, self-discipline is all needed when it comes to this kind of industry, 100%.
So our industry sits on the nexus between delivering experiences, but also hardcore data.
Of course,
right?
of course, of course.
So Michael, how can we get food business owners to become more business thinking, and how will tech help them get there?
Okay. So
I know how to cook. That's good. But I'm running a business, and especially a business which relies a lot today on access to tech.
So I think I'll pinch a bit on what Titi and Harshab said. So I have a bit of an academic background. So and that academic background, when it relates to business, is you come into any business with a hypothesis, right? And your hypothesis is that I'm a great cook, told by my family and friends. Because exactly, best rice in town by family and friends.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to test it by trying to ensure that my cooking, if that's what you're offering, not the experience, is good enough for other people. So I assume that if 20 people like my cooking within the first 1 week, then there might be something here. If they don't, maybe my cooking is not so great and I've been deceived. That's a hypothesis.
Yeah.
So your notion of going into that business now is to validate if 20 people will do so, and then to learn something from it. Meaning you could learn that, yes, I did not get 20, I got 15, but the 15 people had feedback that I could use to increase that. Then you're onto something here. So to answer here, the question you asked, Harsh, from my perspective, is that that's the mindset of starting up a business. You start off with the hypothesis. Your goal first is to validate if your assumptions are true or false. But the big question is, how will you know that it's true or false? That's where the tools and the data comes in to validate that assumption. The assumption is to help you know the right direction to go. Speed is useless if you're not going in the right direction. People aim for speed, they aim for scale, they aim for this. If you lose 100 naira on every plate that you sell, for instance,
without knowing,
how many plates do you need to prepare to kill you? You're just killing yourself. But if you did know that I'm losing, 100 naira, you can make adjustments to make sure that probably it's at zero, or I make 100 naira, then I can scale. So it's knowing, it's having a clear understanding of those assumptions that you've made, and then ensuring that the data is telling you to scale, then you now scale. You don't scale before the data tells you to scale, because at the instance, you are running an experiment. Single location, small location. You don't just do, a grand opening. You need to pay back that cost that you are putting in. So yes, technology will help you to know and to validate if you are telling yourself a lie or the truth.
Passion is not enough.
It's not enough.
So where does AI come in with all of this? I think today's digitalization cannot or does not exist without AI.
Yes, correct.
And AI goes beyond just using specific applications, I don't want to mention any names, but you know what I'm talking about. How does AI feature in all of this?
So let me even go, to the work that we are doing with, the Bountip team concerning, AI. Now, you've mentioned that one, there's a gap in knowledge, right? And two, Titi also mentioned that there's, skepticism to change and tool use and all
Fear.
that. Yeah. So there are two products, and I'll speak about the second one, which is the Bountip Business Analyst. So what that's doing is sitting down behind your data and looking at it instead of you looking at it, and telling you through the channels that you already know what's going on with your business. So imagine as a restaurant owner, if I use that as an example, in the morning, you get a message from Bountip AI and it says, hey, Titi, inflation went up by 5% last week. And then we are still selling our rice at 2,000 naira when our cost has gone to 2,200 naira. We are losing this. And if we continue this way, we are going to run out of business. You need to change the price to at least 2,800 naira. It has done all the thinking for you. All you need to do, just implement. Or it tells you, last week we were out of inventory and we missed 6 orders because this did not happen and that happened. You need to tell them to do this. That's where AI comes in, to become your business assistant that is looking at that data and giving you summary and also the actions to take and following up on you to make sure those actions happen. And this is not happening that you need to log into a system or to run a report. It's right in your face. It's telling you this straight up.
Is this the space of the agentic AI that we're talking about?
Correct.
I'm afraid, thinking if business operators are not at the point where they are intelligent enough to understand the business, and we have an AI agent that is supporting us, could we be losing out somewhere?
I don't think it's the other way around, meaning it's going to tell you you're not intelligent enough. So I'll tell you exactly what you need to do.
Your gaps.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then continuously prompt you on that. The bottom line is, we always say that you cannot wake up someone that is pretending to be sleeping.
Yeah.
So you can't be pretending to be sleeping. They need to tell you the truth, because business is not child's play. If you don't do the right things, definitely you would go down. It's not forgiving, and you need to be at that space of mind to actually run a business.
This is powerful. We're running out of time, but we have so many more questions to ask. Thanks, Michael. So picking up on that, when we talk about organizations, do we have to be big in order to think digital? Titi, this is, I think, what we've spoken to, the fear, the financial implications, but Is it possible that we could start small, even in this particular intervention? Could we start small wherever we're at? We could be an online food vendor. We could be a mom and pop shop. Is this something that belongs to that conversation? Or are we looking at the bigger, more scaled organizations?
So for me, I would say, sorry, please, can you mute? For me, I would say that you don't need to, you can actually start small because that would help you grow. You know, you don't need to be big before you have a tool that works for you. So starting small would help you see what you would not see really in the real sense, to see what you're not actually, you would be able to see what is happening behind the scene really. And it will help you. Because at the end of the day, it's not all about, you know, the revenue you're getting. What about the losses that you're making behind the scene? If you can keep that losses, if you can safeguard, you know, keep yourself from making such losses, then you have that opportunity to grow. So I would encourage everybody in that sector, you know, to use a tool that would work. And then, you know, of course, I will recommend my tool. Thank you.
So we're looking at, I think, just to bring this conversation to a close so that we can move on to other sections of this webinar. I have spreadsheets, I have POS systems, I have people, I have cash registers in some cases. All right, we're bringing it all together in what I would call a business intelligence structure, infrastructure. So, Michael, you've talked about basic infrastructure that would need. So what do I need to put in place? I think I'm talking about now the physical in terms, what would I need physically in order to make this run? How would that be? What would that look like?
That will depend on your size and complexity. Like you mentioned, if you are a small business, you cook from home, your mobile phone is all you need.
We can have all of this on a mobile phone.
On your mobile phone.
You just need data.
More than that. You don't actually need data if it's running on your phone, except you want it to sync and access it from somewhere else on your phone. Your phone is all you need. If you have a single location, internet is not a problem. Everything can run within your local system. So in that case, you might just need probably your phone, one cash register, as you mentioned, and that's it. But if you're like harsh operation that's massive, a lot of places, then obviously the internet now comes to play because you want to be able to see all those locations from different places. So it varies depending on the size and complexity of your business. But the good thing is, on one hand, you have a lot of people are skeptical because of infrastructure challenges, internet and all that. But the system run offline. They sync when there's internet, you know. So yes, you can walk around that.
Okay.
So in summary, small, a mobile phone is okay. Very large, internet can be solved. So there's really no excuse while in what year are we in now? 2026.
2026.
You're not
connected. You're not.
It will be surprising.
Okay, so no excuses, right?
No excuses, no.
I think the elephant in the room, Harsh, has to be people, talent.
Right.
Where does talent fit into all of this? Especially we're in an industry and a sector where talent is very mobile.
Yeah.
Turnover very high. How has that been for you in terms of digitalization and the talent available and talent within your business?
I think talent also comes in a lot of motivation, a lot of training, a lot of discipline. Like if you notice in the entire webinar, I've been using the word discipline a lot because without discipline within, which is if it's not included within the staff, you'll never have your results. So talent can be there, fantastic, but as long as it's not followed with consistency, discipline, it won't place.
So do you recruit for this talent? Did you need to recruit specifically for this to happen, or?
No, irrespective, even if you're hiring or you're recruiting, you still have to create some systems.
Yeah.
Irrespective, you need to provide that kind of staff training, that discipline to make them understand how important this is for you.
So staff training was critical.
It's very critical. Very critical. Yeah. Service is one aspect of it. Cooking is the other aspect of it. but it all comes to the real picture is what the numbers are. And that all comes down with staff training.
I hope this message has been played out there very loud and clear. If you do not train, there is no way that you can get the output that you expect. So it's really important that you have a team of people on board. As we come to the end of this segment, I would like to go around the room and just ask each of my panelists to drop a nugget. What do you want our guests on this webinar to walk away with? What's the nugget that you want to leave with them? I won't put anybody on the spot now. If you're ready to go, just tell me. One thing in a sentence or a short snippet you'd like everybody to go away with from this particular discussion.
I'll go first since you're
Good. Yes.
So mine, I think is simple, which is, speed is only important when you're going in the right direction. And to go in the right direction means you need to know that you're in the right direction, not think.
No.
It's I know, not I think.
Hard facts.
And then once you have those hard facts, provided by data, then you can scale.
Thank you very much. That's profound. Imagine speeding in the wrong direction. You're going somewhere.
You're
going nowhere.
I think the biggest misconception that everyone has is digitalization is a software or it's technology. That's it, right? A lot of people get, it's a miscommunication amongst them. But I think the biggest thing is right now, in order for someone to be successful, digitalization is the future in hospitality. And especially in a country like in Nigeria with fluctuations happening on a daily basis, if these things are not taken into consideration, it's already, a loss right there.
Yeah.
So very, very important. Passion is great. Passion is wonderful. But factors need to be taken into consideration.
Passion won't get you on the right direction
exactly.
or sustain you, right? Thank you, Harsh. Titi, what nugget would you like people to leave with from this particular discussion?
So I would want the audience to ask themselves these questions. That's, would they like a system that would solve all their operational problem? Is there a practical way of is this system usable for them practically every day? Can their staff adopt the system, the usage of the system? Does the system help them to be visible? As in, does it help their business to be visible? Can it support growth? Because at the end of the day, they all intend to grow. Because you're in the business to grow. So those are the questions I would want them to go home with and think about it and choose a system that would work for you, a tool that will work for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so we come to an interlude here, a brief interlude, where we're going to have an invitation to engage. And then we will move over to Titi, who will give us a case example of how this technology works.
Running a restaurant in Africa,
we're going to have a brief
you don't need
interlude now
stress.
and then come back with
You need speed.
with you,
You
Titi.
need
We're going
bounty.
to have a
One
brief
platform,
session with you
one
and
wallet,
talk about the
one
bounty
operating system
technology.
that handles everything. Menus, done. Inventory, synced. Orders, instant. Payments, faster than your favorite POS. Loans, approved based on your business reality, not paperwork. One online, your AI storefront. It builds itself in minutes. Menu, styled. Photos generated. Orders flying. Are you worried about it? Bounty tells you before it happens. Do you need more sales? It suggests what to promote. Do you need capital? Bounty pay funds you. You daily payment from your real sales. POS, QR, virtual account, wallet, lending, AI. Everything connected. Everything seamless. Everything bounty. This is not a tool. This is a superpower. Run smarter. Grow faster. Scale bigger. Bounty. Your restaurant growth engine.
In the heart of Africa, where diversity thrives and cultures intertwine, lies a dynamic industry ready for transformation. However, our research has revealed critical competency gaps to grow and sustain a viable and competitive hospitality industry. a gap in advisory services that provide strategic solutions to business problems in the hospitality space, and executive level leadership competencies to drive and grow the hospitality industry. Introducing the Lagos Business School Hospitality Initiative. The LBS Hospitality Initiative is a platform for change, growth, and innovation. Through our four main pillars, we are reshaping the landscape of the hospitality industry in Nigeria and Africa. We provide expertise, guidance, and strategic insights tailored to the unique challenges of the hospitality industry in Africa. Curating high-end industry engagements, we aim to become the leading networking platform for stakeholders in Africa's hospitality industry. Through rigorous industry research, we provide a foundation of empirical evidence and insights to guide decision-makers in the private and public sectors. Our high-level executive programs and internships address the gaps needed to build, grow, and sustain profitable businesses. Together, we can address the lack of synergy, realign goals, support data-driven policies, and raise the bar for executive decision-making. Join us in rewriting the story of leadership in the hospitality industry. Together, let's make a difference.
Okay, good afternoon. We're in the afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to give a brief presentation on the Lagos Business School Hospitality Initiative, what we do, why we are here, and how we can better engage to help move your business forward. So basically, we have four major pillars: advisory services, industry engagement initiatives, capacity building, and research. And what do we mean by that? For advisory services, it's basically trying to help your business stand out in the market. So solutions around talent and leadership, USP development, diagnostic reviews. If, for example, there's a certain parameter in your business that you want to check or you want to have a bit more information on, we can do diagnostic reviews for you. And also, of course, research. We're a business school. We're very research focused. Industry engagement as well. We have events, for example, this webinar. We have webinars, we have executive forums, we have our annual summit. And basically the idea is to have a knowledge sharing forum among executives in the sector so that we can exchange knowledge, exchange value, and help each other grow our businesses. And how can you engage with us on this level? You can be a collaborator. You can engage directly with our initiatives as a partner, third contributor, or even attending these events. You can sponsor specific events, or you can also enlist us to curate, certain events for you. I mean, we do the back-end work and then help you shine, basically. Yes, we do capacity building programs as well. So if you want a particular program for your company, whether it's executive level leadership, mid-level managerial competencies you're trying to develop, or your company just needs like a 2-day space where they want to just think and re-strategize. We can organize, company retreats. We can organize executive programs for you. We can organize study trips. And we also have a lot of connections with people in the sector. And you can have an executive internship placement for your staff or yourself if you're interested. We can organize it as well. And of course, research. We carry out a lot of research work for people in the sector. Again, you can collaborate with us on our research. For example, you can supply the data that we need sometimes when you're part of our target group. You can sponsor specific research deliverables. You can commission us to conduct research for you. And you can also subscribe to our research products that we have along the year. Of course, we have a number of things coming up in the year. I mean, the year we're basically almost midway, but we have some programs coming up which we invite you to be a part of if it is something that you think you need. The first one, which is next month, is the Developing Leaders in Tourism and Hospitality. And basically this program is for mid-level managerial competency development. We've gotten a lot of feedback from people in the sector that managerial level for mid-level managers, managerial competencies for them, they're finding it very difficult to have people who can manage that aspect of the business. So you have people who are very operational. They know, how to cook, or they know how to, do stuff, but they can't manage a business. They don't understand. They don't have like that managerial competency. So we're trying to develop that skill set, and that's what this program is basically about. The next one that we have is in July, and it's talking about harnessing innovation and trends in tourism and hospitality management. And basically, we see what's happening in the sector. In the last 2-3 months, the crisis of the Middle East, for example, has some businesses have gone under. And the general idea that we're trying to look at in this program is seeing market disruptions as opportunity drivers, investment models that are currently coming up, technology and AI integration, among other things. Overall, we're trying to see how challenges are creating new opportunities across the sector, and how we can be people who benefit from those challenges, as opposed to being victims of circumstance. We also have a program in September around franchise management and ownership. Basically, franchising is a business model that is growing now in the country, because for people who have businesses that are franchisable, it's a smarter way to do business, because you don't always have to duplicate the costs of having, for example, a physical location by yourself and all of that. And for somebody who wants to buy into a franchise, you don't have to do the hard work of having to build a brand that is credible. You already ride on the credibility of other brands. So we're trying to see how to help people understand the business model and how people can take advantage of this a bit better. And we also have a program later in the year as well, which is around driving profitability in food operations, and it's basically designed to help food business managers improve profitability by focusing on key drivers of sales, of performance, talking about cost control and operational discipline. And we also invite you to be a part of that. We have a workshop in July as well. And what's the idea of the workshop? It's a problem-solving workshop. We're just trying to develop strategic thinking competencies in individuals. So we've come with actual case studies that have been developed, real-life case studies that have been developed, and we try to interrogate, the challenges and prefer solutions. We can also have companies who want to have a solutions workshop for their company, and we can customize a particular workshop for you to help you think through the problems you're going through and how you can actually come up with solutions that work. Yeah, we can move. Okay, so we have two major events that we have every year, apart from all the other events that we have every year. It's the Executive Forum that we have in July, and our flagship summit in November. The one in July, it's Forum for Executives in Hospitality, and it's an invite-only industry forum, basically. And the general idea, like I said, is to provide an avenue for executives in the sector to exchange ideas and to actually brainstorm solutions on issues that we face. The summit as well in November, we have something amazing planned out, and we're going to be rolling it out soon. But just stay tuned to our communications, and we'll get to you. And if you would like to engage with us in any way, please scan the QR code here, and we'll be happy to have you on board. Also, there's we will probably have been hearing a bit about Bounty in and out of the conversations that we have, and they're actually the ones who sponsored this webinar, because they're trying to improve the knowledge base of Digitech, basically. And they would also like to invite you, if you're interested in getting in touch with them to see how they can help your business begin to approach this digitization, you can also reach out to them. There's a QR code that'll be displayed on the screen now, and you can engage with them via that QR code. If we just go back a bit, the QR code is on the, thank you.
In the heart of Africa, where diversity thrives and cultures intertwine, lies a dynamic industry ready for transformation. However, our research has revealed critical competency gaps to grow and sustain a viable and competitive hospitality industry. A gap in advisory services that provide strategic solutions to business problems in the hospitality space, and scarce executive-level leadership competencies to drive and grow the hospitality industry. Introducing the Lagos Business School Hospitality Initiative. The LBS Hospitality Initiative is a platform for change, growth, and innovation. Through our four main pillars, we are reshaping the landscape of the hospitality industry in Nigeria and Africa. We provide expertise, guidance, and strategic insights tailored to the unique challenges of the hospitality industry in Africa. Curating high-end industry engagements, we aim to become the leading networking platform for stakeholders in Africa's hospitality industry. Through rigorous industry research, we provide a foundation of empirical evidence and insights to guide decision makers in the private and public sectors. Our high-level executive programs and internships address the gaps needed to build, grow, and sustain profitable businesses. Together, we can address the lack of synergy. We align goals, support data-driven policies, and raise the bar for executive decision-making. Join us in rewriting the story of leadership in the hospitality industry. Together, let's make a difference.
Running a restaurant in Africa, you don't need stress. You need power. You need speed. You need bounty. One platform, one wallet, one operating system that handles everything. Menus done. Inventory synced. Orders instant. Payments faster than your favorite POS. Loans approved based on your business reality, not paperwork. One online, your AI storefront. It builds itself in minutes. Menu styled. Photos generated. Orders flying. Are you worried about it? Bounty tells you before it happens. Do you need more sales? It suggests what to promote. Do you need capital? Bounty funds you. You daily payment from your sales. POS, QR, virtual account, wallet, lending, AI. Everything connected. Everything seamless. Everything bounty. This is not a tool. This is your superpower. Run smarter. Grow faster. Scale bigger. Bounty. Your restaurant growth engine.
Hi. Yes.
So Titi, we're going to have you give a presentation on Bountip and its capabilities. So I pass the mic on to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Yeah, so Bountip started off as a restaurant management software some years ago, but right now we've gone past that. We are now an intelligence platform built for restaurants, bakery, food businesses to help them reduce waste, control their costs, and improve their inventory visibility. And in the long run, make them, operate better, more efficiency in the software system, in their system. So let me start by talking about what we do as of today. We address both the front and the back end operations of the food businesses. So the front has to do with the POSs. We have the inventory. We have the POS where you make your sales. See your revenue, the visibility into what you're selling. Then we have the back end that talks about the kitchen management. How do you know the efficiency that happens in the kitchen? How efficient is your kitchen? How many hours does it take your kitchen staff to prepare a meal? How long does a meal stays? How do you calculate the time efficiency of the kitchen? What happens in your store? How are the inventory being used? How is it being depleted? At what point does it come in? At what cost does it go for? Those are the things Bountip helps you to do. So I'm going to give us like a success story here of someone, one of our restaurants that, got into Bountip, but at the point at which they came in, they were almost at the verge of closing down before we met them. Yeah. So the restaurant is based in Port Harcourt here. Someone introduced us to this particular restaurant. The sales were there. People were coming into them to buy things. The revenue was actually coming in, but then they couldn't account for anything. There was no visibility into the system. So we kept talking. We came together. We discussed what was happening. So what we realized that was happening there was more of visibility issue. They had visibility problem. They couldn't track their stock. Their margins were shrinking. Sales were coming in, but not everything was being, the owners cannot see everything, just the system wasn't working well for them. So we introduced Bountip to them. We don't just introduce Bountip, just, introducing the software to you and leaving you to it. No, we handheld them. We came in there, we handheld them, got our people to help them with their stock counting. We worked practically with them to see what was happening in the system, to see what was happening in the restaurants. And, at the end of the day, things changed. A lot of things changed. Visibility became their normal norm. The discipline was there also, because without discipline, the technology would just be there. The people were ready to use, they were ready to do better. They were ready to, to adopt a system that works for them. They were ready to adopt a system that works for them. So we realized that, at the end of the day, they were able to track a lot of things. Businesses started growing. From just one location, they opened multiple locations within that environment. They had just one location. We realized that, before you know it, the VIP section was opened, another location was opened, and everything started coming up. Not because, the reason why we have this has to do with, it's not because, it's not because the system, it's not because they were not making it, the visibility was happened that helped them. It was just the visibility, because they were able to track things that they were not tracking before now. They were able to see it, they were able to track it, they were able to work better, make good decisions and use a system that gives them those data, because at the end of the day, data is what they need. They could make data-driven decisions. So I would like us, as operators, to think about our business, and look for a solution. As hers, we are here to help. Bountip is here to work with you. We are here to partner with you. We are here to support you. We are here to help you grow. We would work together. We are more like a family. I call it like a family business now, because we don't just work with you just as a partner. We work with you as a family. We want to see you grow. We want to see the numbers grow. We want to see the revenue coming. We want to see your inventory being tracked. We want to see your waste. A lot of things go through waste. Preparation waste takes over 45% of accounts for 45%. Preparation waste is there. We have waste that comes from spoilage. We have a lot of waste. So all those things needs to be monitored. By the time you monitor it, you will realize that a lot of money that is being wasted, that is going through all these things that we do not check, will be kept and will help increase your profitability. Thank you. So if you have any question for us, please, we're here to answer it.
Thank you very much, Titi. So the floor is open for questions from our participants. I have one quick question here that has come in from a participant. The question is, I'm Nkechi Adebayo. I operate an online food hospitality business. Our star product is Ofada rice and Ayamase sauce. And I'm based in Berger, Lagos. Please, you mentioned software that could help with cost and pricing engineering. Could you give us examples of how this works with your technology. Titi?
Okay, yeah. Okay. So, please, could you repeat that question again?
So she'd like to know
I'm sorry about
how
that.
your software could help.
You're muted. Okay.
Am I muted? Okay, sorry about that.
I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you, Titi. Somebody who runs an Ofada business, Ofada rice business, small scale, would like to know practically how your software helps her in terms of cost and pricing engineering, practical tips on how this works.
Okay, so the first thing I would ask her to the first thing I would ask her to do as a small business, how does she get her inventory? She needs to put in that data of, okay, as of today, this is the amount of inventory I've bought, the Ofada rice I have in stock, and this is the amount it costs me to use this Ofada cost me to get this Ofada rice. You know, you have to put in the quantity and the cost so that the system can calculate. Because, you know, all this has to do with garbage in, garbage out. What did you put into the system? You must put in the right information to get the right answer. So she must be able to put in what the informations are. How much does it cost her to buy this inventory? And what quantity of this inventory did she put on the system? Then she now goes to the menu engineering parts. Now she has to break down. That is why we said that there must be a standard. There must be a standard at which you work. You know, that is where she breaks down. That's more like the production schedule. How do you cook these things? Do you make it in 5 liters of bowl? Do you make it in portions? Then how many cups of rice will I use to make a 5 liters of other rice? How many portion of tomatoes do I need to? So those are the things you need to put into the system. By the time you put all these into the system calculates. It gives you the amount, your costs, the food cost for that particular menu. It gives you the food cost. Then it will now be a business decision for you to say, okay, now it costs me 100 naira to do this. Then my business decision will be, how much do I want to sell? Do I want to sell 3 times the amount? Do I want to sell 2.5 times the amount? You know, so that is how the system works. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. And we have a question here. I think we could get an answer from where we are here. Share 1 or 2 restaurants using Bountip currently.
Chapter.
Okay. So Chapter Restaurant in Victoria Island is using Bountip technologies. Could we share another one? We'll need permission, I'm sure, for that, but that's totally... Okay, so we have the CEO of Chapter Restaurant in VI, and they are using the software successfully. There's another question here. I run a bakery and damages, visibility, and sales is our issue. I need a contact to continue with the conversation. Yeah, all right, okay, right. So we have something very specific. Could we speak to that, Harsh? Damages, visibility, is that something that's captured? I'm thinking spoilage here.
Spoilage and pilferage would be more of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call damage visibility.
Yeah.
Visibility, yes, comes in with spoilage in terms of if supplies have come, if things have not been stored in the right way, and after a while, if that does come under spoilage, and that comes under loss, that comes under inventory, which is again recorded, and then that gives you the cost towards the end.
So it is captured.
Captured.
Captured. Great.
Yeah.
We have another question here. How do you convert a sales point from cash collection to a more digital reception, especially considering a rural location? This is a bakery. Is that something you can speak to, Michael?
Let me get the question again.
So how can you convert from a cash sales point to a more digital reception, especially considering that you are in a rural location? So
So
we're
if you
moving
were
from
in a
cashless,
rural-
yeah.
I would think that rural is more cash than cashless. But to answer the question, I think the software takes in all forms of payment channels that you can think about. Whether you're collecting cash, you're using a POS, it's online payment, it's based on credit, whatever business payment channel your organization uses, already available in there. So I don't know what rural means to him.
Exactly. What does rural mean? I mean, you get your,
Any of the channels,
Yeah.
yes, that's already available to do so.
A question here, question or comment rather, is visibility, staff retention, and scaling is our challenge. I need help. Can the software help with any of these challenges?
What is it?
Staff retention, visibility, and scaling.
Definitely on visibility and scaling.
Visibility and scaling, yes.
Definitely.
For staff retention, the comment I'll make is, where does the knowledge of a business lie? Does it lie in the heads of people, or it lies in your systems, processes, and all that? And that's what the software helps you to do. So if your menus lie on the system, chefs will come and chefs will go. The menu will remain.
But the core remains.
It always remains. The knowledge of the business must always be in your systems and your processes.
SOPs has to be followed.
Recipes have to be followed. First, let's move back a bit. Recipes have to be created. You can't cook from your head.
Of course.
It won't work. So we're moving from
Tell
the
that
head
to the reality.
the reality.
People cook from their head.
People
and
cook
that's-
from their head. In the business, you cannot, and it
Right.
won't work. It does not work.
So there's a difference between a hobby and a business. So I think people confuse both of them together and they try to run a business like a hobby, and that's why you have these issues. So the simple answer is yes to those three questions.
Yeah.
Two, a very strong yes. One is it enables that for you to be able to have that retention, having your business more systemized.
Of course.
And I need help. I think Titi's number is the
Yes.
helpline.
Yeah.
So that will be shared and
Fantastic. And the QR code, I think it was put up, and then Harsh, you wanted to say
No,
something?
please.
Okay, good. Another question. The questions are rolling in. This means I must know every detail about my restaurant. Yes. I am an owner. I don't know how to cook. So how do I go about this? I don't know if this software will help us with learning how to cook. I mean, that one is a far stretch, right?
TT, take note.
We could have a plug-in on this is how to cook.
and to add to that,
It's
or to
something we'll
answer
be
that
thinking about.
question is,
We'll think about that.
you don't need to know every detail. You need to know the important details. And I think that's where we said, attention. The tool drives your attention to the most critical bits of your system. Let me call it business. The critical bits of your system. Example of the instance I mentioned during the conversation. So, as a business owner, do you need to know when every item's inventory becomes low? The answer is no, because you've employed someone to worry about that. But you need to know when no action is taken about it. So what are the things you need to know? The things that people are accountable for when the system or the process is broken, not the event in itself. And when people concern themselves with the individual event, then your focus is scattered everywhere. But we help you to narrow down to those things that are critical for you to be able to run a successful business, not all the noise. So we separate the noise from the actual signals.
Great. We have a question here about food wastage. I'll come to you, Titi, with that question, and Harsh, I'd like you to take it up from there. Can you expand how food waste management works with the Bountip system?
Yes. Okay. So for the food waste model, this is how it works. When you're preparing your menu, you have a section where you put in your menu. You should have accounted for a portion of it that would go to waste, really. Because assuming, let me use like a jollof rice as an example. A part of it will get burnt. So you should know, you should calculate that, put that into consideration when you're preparing the whole menu management, the recipe management itself. So part of that goes to waste. So let's assume that at the point of sales, let's look at it from the point of sale. You sell like 20 portions of that, and you've already taken maybe 0.001 as a percentage. Of course, it will calculate the waste underneath that. It will calculate that waste there. Then we have, at the point of inventory, putting in your inventory, there are expiring dates to some of this inventory. The system tells you before the expiration, but some sometimes, maybe because of the workload and everything, we do not look at some of those informations. Maybe because the system will actually send you an alert on your emails that so products should be expiring in the next 2 weeks. So some of those expired products, once it's expired, it goes straight into the waste log. Those go straight into the waste log. Then there are some other ways that are associated with customers not being satisfied. You've already produced the product, you've given it to the customer, and the customer tells you, no, this is too salty. You need to take it back, and it goes to waste. So where do you account for that? You need to log it into your system that this particular product is wasted, instead of just deleting and let the information go. So the system calculates the total waste and where these wastes are coming from, and makes you, make a decision that, I realize that the preparation waste is so high this time around. What is happening? Why do we have so much waste in preparation? Or why do we have people refusing our food, sending it back to us? So that's the way it works.
Thank you very much. Harsh, would you like to give us a practical experience?
I think very much with what Titi said, but more if I have to get more into the core, being in the kitchen, it all comes down from recipe costing, recipe analysis, portion control, product quality. All those aspects add into consideration before you can take it, which lead to wastage, or as you had mentioned before. So if those things are well taken into consideration, which is the core, that's what helps you reduce all the spillage, all the wastage aspects from that aspect.
So we need to know what it is we're preparing,
before
how much of it, before we can calculate the wastage.
Exactly.
Noted. Well, we have come to the end of the session, and I hope you found it very productive. Thank you to all our panelists here, Michael, Harsh, and Titi. Thank you for joining us. We are delighted to have you connect with us. We have shared the contact details for Bountip Technologies and the Lagos Business School Hospitality Initiative. Together, we're going to build and structure this industry that has, for a very long time, been without this kind of strategic thinking. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.